What's up? What's up? What's up? It is your boy Chris Lee TV back again with another episode of the Financial Trucker Podcast. Here today we have Polk. Polk is someone I met on Twitter, another uh, truck driver who was out in Atlanta. We, like I said, we met on Twitter. He's in my trucking group. We've had a lot of good, you know, communication and knowledge dropped about trucking between the both of us. And I wanted to bring Polk on to kind of give his experience because it's a different one than everyone else, and I think everybody has a story to tell in the trucking industry. So, Polk, you want to introduce yourself and let the audience kind of know who you are and what you do out here?
My name is Joshua Polk. I'm out of Atlanta, Georgia. Former D1 football player. Had a chance to play overseas. Used to do IT work for the federal government of Australia. Came back to pretty much start a family, live, at home, take care of my parents and stuff like that. Ended up getting into trucking via local metro bus. So started off driving off of what we call MARTA in Atlanta. That's where I got my CDLBs. They put a cap on my overtime. So I wanted to make some more money. So I got introduced to trucking pretty quickly. After about a year and a half, finally went over to TMC, did flatbed and journey. Um, then I found out I was having a kid almost probably about 7 months through. Found out I was having a child. I wanted to make myself available for appointments, times, camp, stuff like that. Ended up starting my own business, got my own authority, and now we're here.
Gotcha. It did black out a little bit, but I got pretty much a gist of just pretty much how we're here now. Can you touch on like that whole process with you getting that class CDLB? Like what was that like? Did they sponsor it or was that something that you paid for out of pocket? I know I don't get a lot of people who have that B license first or I've ever had on the channel. So tell us about that.
The B license was actually kind of unique getting it. So when you drive the Metro bus, uh, driving it is not very similar to a truck. It's more of like you have to deal with passengers, you have to deal with the wheels being up under your seat. So a lot of people ended up failing the test because when you drive a car, you drive a big truck, your wheels out in front, you can kind of project the video. Well, in a B, it was kind of like a struggle. I'm not going to say for me, but once you learn that the bus kind of pivots, it was like a quick process. And they did sponsor the license. You just had to promise to work for about 6 months. And they sponsored the license. They took you through training. And if anybody's in the Atlanta area needs a head start, MARTA is always hiring. Just don't take the route 107. That's where the crazies go. I'm just
That was
playing.
my next question. No, we going there. So I know you got a story about because you were in Atlanta. I know, you know what I'm saying, the demographic. I know it's a lot of stuff that goes down in Atlanta, especially with you being, you know what I'm saying, a bus driver. Do you have any crazy stories from, you know what I'm saying, that experience?
A few, but the one that really sticks out to me the most, I was actually on 107 because I really liked that route, but I was on the 107 and I was actually switching over to the Route 15 because you can do double splits. They got a lot of overtime for people, and on the Route 15 at the end of the line, you get to sit, you get to take a break, reset before you bring the bus back to the bus station. So at the end of the line, you kind of park in the middle of the woods. It's called County Line. And it's somewhere, but it's nowhere at the same time. And your cell phone signal's kind of faint, so you got to kind of stand still to get a good signal. Well, I'm out here and I hear like this knock on my bus, and I'm just like, oh, shoot. What's this door? It's like, I'm thinking it's like a bear trying to get to the bus of wood. Well, it's not. I hear somebody just scream, just and I'm like, oh Lord, like they gonna get the people. I'm locking this bus down. Ain't nobody getting on the bus. So as soon as I get ready to turn, it's this naked man, and he has his Johnson pressed against the window, like, let me on the bus. I have to go to work. And I'm just like, no, 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 not like that. So now he just takes off running up the street, and like this deer was running across the street and like knocked him out on the ground, and he laid there butt naked, and I had to like call it in because like he was unconscious. And I've never thought about this sequence of events, like just seeing a naked man in the middle of my route, than seeing like a whole buck like just run him over. Like it was like an animated movie. It was weird.
That's insane, man. That is crazy. But me knowing you, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. But that's pretty crazy. So that's dope. You got the class B. So okay, you did transition to the A. What was that like? Because a lot of people I tell, what I'm saying, to just grab the A and skip the B. But what was it like for you?
Grabbing the B, I would say, was probably the most beneficial to the business side of this. Like just working with a variety of different people, not knowing their mental illness, working with handicapped people, learning how to strap them down, understanding how to tolerate different smells and keep your poker face on, like maintaining professionalism through the midst of like everyday people, through the greatest and the worst. Like you never know when the CEO would hop on the bus middle of your route. So really maintaining that professionalism all throughout was probably the most beneficial when it comes to the trucking industry. You go into these shippers, receivers, and sometimes you go to uncomfortable environments. You may go to the backwoods of the most Confederate town. That could be a wake up call. You're delivering just a tractor, and they want that tractor, but now there's a uncommon divide between the both of you guys. You kind of like, how do I handle this conversation? So, you learn how to keep business and, keep the emotions out of it and let business take care of itself. So that was probably the greatest thing that having a CDLB embraced me for as far as having an A.
Got you. And then your first job was with TMC. I hear a lot of things about TMC. They keep the trucks clean. They really monitor the drivers and make sure. Like I feel like they run it like a kind of tight ship over there. So what made you go the flatbed route? Because not a lot of people choose that flatbed route. And then what made you go with TMC?
Okay. TMC, Tarp My Cargo. Um, that's one of the many names that they call us, the money crew, Tarp My Cargo, because pretty much all the loads are tarp. So TMC, I have no bad things to say about him. So when it comes to the tight ship, Harold, he's the boss. He runs everything. Everybody meets Harold at least once while they're working there, and his mo is running it like a military ship. And he hires a lot of veterans, a lot of people that before they get to the homeless state, he tries to grab a hold of them, get them in there, and give them a very very comfortable work environment that's not too far from the lifestyle that they just left. So when you come in for TMC training, I actually got sponsored by them, promised to do a year, and they paid for my A's. They took me up to Des Moines, Iowa, where their headquarters is. Beautiful campus, beautiful place to drive and train. They pretty much gave you the best training as far as like load securement, maneuvering a lot of the tight corners. When it comes to equipment, state of art, the equipment, all they drive is Peterbilts. I
Huh?
want to make sure y'all understand that. No Kenworths, no Freightliners, no Volvos. They have a contract with Peterbilt. You will drive a 579. That is what your truck will be. 2017, 2018, 22, 23. He buys probably 50 to 100 brand new trucks every single quarter.
Yeah.
And he makes sure they have the brand new Fontaines when they came out with the aluminum trailers. You didn't have to worry about um, your your side pockets. You didn't have to worry about them being welded to the trailer. They were actually now a part of the trailer, so you can have more secure when they hauling coils and stuff like that. It helped reduce load shipments. The trailer was 3,000 pounds lighter than the old Bensons that they had. You'll never have sliding tandems on their axles. They always have split axles. So everything about them, the upkeep, they won't let you drive a mile over the warranty. Like they keep their warranties. They make sure their trucks can be resold at the same value. So
Mhm.
it is a very tight knit ship. They make you wash the truck every 2 weeks too.
Yep.
Like you'll get fined if you don't.
Uh, yeah, I think TMC was the one that like the company I wanted to go to out of trucking school. I probably should have went to like TMC or Maverick, but Stevens, you know what I'm saying, they got it, and I appreciate, you know what I'm saying, the start that I had. But as far as you know, you have like a lot of you kind of well rounded as a person. You said you played D1 football, you went to Australia and you played over there. Um, now, how did because I like to talk about financial literacy. Like, how did trucking, you know what I'm saying, kind of did trucking change any of your like your finances once you got into the truck? Like you said, I think you said that you wanted to make more money earlier. How did that change for you from coming from like that kind of well-rounded background to now you're in the truck and you have, was that more money that you were making before? Was it something that you were used to? Something that you had to kind of acclimate yourself to? What was that like?
So coming up, I never really had like a financial literacy background. And then once I got into driving MARTA buses, crazy story. Like my first ever route driving for the Metro bus, I met my present day wife.
Hmm.
And meeting my present day wife, what ended up happening, she's actually an accountant. So she really introduced me to how money moves and how it benefits you in the best way. So when I was working for the bus, she was like, "You're spending 16-hour days working crazy. Like you're not having a good work-life balance. So basically, you're not making enough money per hour to, really fund the lifestyle that you talk about or you want and the lifestyle that I would, enjoy." So when we went to TMC, the reason why we actually chose TMC is because you got to control your own raises. They pay on a percentage basis opposed to per mile. So you start off with a base 26% and you can work your way up to 34%.
Hmm.
So if you had a $10,000 week and you was at 34%, you're making 3,400 for that week.
Right.
So and they do a 13 rolling week average. So if you have your hazmat, your twit cards, you increase in points and it increases your percentage. So they're not in control of it. You're completely in control over how much money you make. And that's what really, burst me toward that decision. Once I started understanding what I can do, how I can be efficient with time, that's when I start really paying attention to the money. And, you know, maybe I don't need to stop right here. It's burning more fuel, messing up my fuel mileage, my miles per gallon. So how they run their ship really taught me the financial nitpicky things to help better run my current business.
Understood. And like you said, like with the current business, what was that journey like? Because I know we touched on a lot of points, but I would just want to go backtrack and like kind of dive in on a couple of them. I believe you said something about like your family, starting a family kind of helped make the decision for you. Is that what I heard? Like kind of like going from TMC to a more um, ownership where you have your truck. Um, what was that transition like?
That transition was actually emotionally out of anger, to be honest.
Really?
So wife was pregnant. It was during the COVID, so I had a limited number of like hospital visits that I could partake in. I only got 3 during the whole pregnancy. Although she went to like 20 different visits, I could only legally go to 3 based on how COVID was. So I was up there just above Chattanooga. Um, you know where 40 meets 24, right there with the pilot and TA across the street in Tennessee.
I
Uh,
have to see it on the map.
well, basically, it's a huge intersection right above there. It's right south of Knoxville, Tennessee.
Mhm,
And I was sitting right there, and she was like, "You gonna be able to make it home?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna be able to make it home. They're gonna find me a load, and then I'm gonna be able to go back to Atlanta." Well, the load that they booked me, they had canceled the load, and I was 126 miles outside of the free 120-mile radius that you could actually, deadhead to get home.
mhm,
So I missed that Friday appointment and I was just livid in the truck. They told me if I was to move my truck, it's basically burning useless fuel. And I couldn't make it to that particular appointment or I'd be fired.
mhm,
So at that moment, I just started doing research. And that's what really said, oh, all I got to do is buy a truck. Oh, I got to do this, that, and the third. My uncle will let me get on with his authority.
mhm.
Oh, man, this is crazy. And, you know, my uncle, he didn't really walk me through the process. He just told me what he did, and I did my best to research and replicate it as best as possible.
Got you. So you mentioned your uncle, and I know like we've talked in the past, and you said that your father also drives trucks.
Mm.
What role did they play kind of in your motivation to get in the truck, if any?
My father, he's pretty much been the breadwinner for my household for, since the beginning of time. So my father, he's on a barrage of businesses, construction company, lawn care company, all through my childhood. So I've seen what it's like to be busy all the time. And then once he got in the truck, he really made trucking look easy. Like he made it look like I could just go get my CDL, tour the country, and make $150,000 a year with ease.
Hmm.
Boy, was I rudely awakened.
Yeah.
But my uncle, he was actually the one that had his authority, and he brought my dad on. My dad had his own truck at the time. He brought him on to the authority, and they allowed him to run off the load board. He ran off his load board. Dad ran off his individual load board. And they said, "Come on over. I know you're tired. You really want to make those appointments. You control your own schedule. All you got to do is get your truck. We can find you a trailer. Whether you lease or go buy one."
Hmm.
And they really just said, "Hey, make the leap." Once I couldn't make that appointment, so I'm really avid about being a present father. That was kind of like my breaking point to say, "Hey, we're gonna have to make this leap because I want to be there for those events."
100%. And so, like, how is that now with your work-life balance? Like, have you found that balance, where you're able to do those things?
Oh, oh man, I love it.
Mhm.
Like if my little man he has like I got a son by the way, but if my little man he has like a play, a show, or performance, I now have the luxury to say, "Hey, you have a performance on Friday. I'm gonna make sure I'm there on Friday." Like whether I have to deadhead my truck 400 or 500 miles, I make sure I'm there, and we do all things within the legal ramifications. So even if I deliver in Birmingham, I can make sure I get home in Birmingham. Personal conveyance to the house is totally acceptable because now it's for personal use.
Mhm.
And as long as you do things within like the ramifications of the law, and you're not abusing these times, and you make sure you're very precise at where you place yourself, you can pretty much have all the freedom. Now, will it hurt you financially from time to time? Yes, because you're still burning fuel.
Yeah.
But on the back end, it allows you maneuverability to say, "Hey, I'm passing through the city. This doesn't have to be there till 8 o'clock tonight in the next state over. That's an hour drive." Now you create that flexibility without really losing revenue. So
Mhm.
it's been a very, I haven't missed anything to date. He's almost 2 years old. So I haven't missed anything. So I'm pretty happy about that.
That's awesome. I wanted to ask, like, what were like, what I'm saying, as being an owner operator, what were some of your best weeks out, and like, what were some of your worst weeks out as far as like bringing home a paycheck, like the highest amount of revenue? You don't have, I mean, sometimes we don't bring nothing home, but what was like the highest amount that you brought home in a week, uh, for from what I'm saying, just trucking?
The highest amount that I brought in a week as an owner operator is 16,000,
Hmm.
and I call it a suicide mission.
Hmm.
I did it in about 6 days. I came from Atlanta. I had a total of about 15 stops in Texas, and I shot right across I-10. I came through Houston, and I went all the way down to like the little Geechee Islands and stuff like that. And I was delivering furniture. That first load paid about 18. Well, it paid about 8,000,
Hmm.
and I was able to conquer that in roughly about a little over a day and a half, almost 2 days. So
Wow.
once I finished my last delivery, I was able to sneak out like a refrigerated load because they loaded at night. And while they were loading my trailer, I got a lot of detention.
Mhm.
I was able to do my reset because it took them 8 hours, and I was able to sit there for another two. So once I did that, I booked it up to Dallas. That was like another $2,000. And then the other six, I bounced from Dallas to New Orleans, New Orleans up to Birmingham. I did Birmingham to Savannah, and that was 222. And then I did like a little $500 run to the house.
That's crazy. But that's what's possible when you can put those types of things together when the rates and everything line up. It's not going to be happen every time, but it is possible. Um, so I know that you have like a lot of extracurricular things that you do. How did you leverage your CDL to like branch off into other things as far as business ventures or like just personal things that you like to do? Like do you feel like your CDL like helped you get into like, what I'm saying, having some leisure time and doing other activities?
Yeah, one thing that people underestimate is YouTube University. Um, what YouTube really introduced me to was music sync licensing. So I've always been a musician. I love music. I produce music on a regular. And, sometimes I put stuff out on my social media just for the fun of it. And I really spent a lot of my time pre-trucking, trying to interact with artists and get in the studio. Well, having a CDL kind of stripped me of that time to go to the studio. So I made sure, you see the lights in the background, those are like a mood setter for me because it kind of replicates the studio feel in my truck. I get back here, I set up my desk, I always keep my laptop on me, and I'll have headphones, I have mic, and I'll do my best to master every single sound and study every single sound, make sure I'm doing all the right things. Then I can submit them to sync libraries. They don't have to see me. I don't have to interact with anybody. And now you get royalties because your song is playing in the background of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Song is
Yeah,
playing
that's
in the
awesome.
background. So, that generates revenue. It's kind of like a residual type thing, depending on what it is. Love and hip hop, they keep playing replays, and I love it. So, that works. When it comes to art, seeing these landscapes and traveling all across the country, sunsets, you never know what nature can do until you see a beautiful sky in the middle of Kansas and there's
Mhm.
no light pollution to really hide the actual beauty of the sky. And when you see those things as an artist, it makes your mind run free. Sometimes I've even pulled over, took a picture, tried to replicate the sketch. And then when I go home and I actually do my 34-hour reset, I'll do a full portrait based on stuff that I've seen while trucking. So it's been really fun out here to really know that a CDL doesn't really hinder your time. It hinders where you allocate your time, not how, but where you allocate your time.
Got you, got you. I think that's very cool, man. Um, so one thing that you do on Twitter is you post like your workout vids. I know for a while you're posting videos of your workouts. I was doing something similar on TikTok, and I'll bring it over to other platforms and stuff like that. But like you said, being a D1 athlete, how are you able to like? What was that like going from being super athletic to truck driver to then trying to figure out like how to maintain the physique and eat healthy, while being in that truck?
Well, being an athlete, so typical college schedule, you wake up at 5 a.m. and from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m., you're literally on go all day. Class, workouts, film study. So your body never gets a time to actually idle. So even without football practice, you're still burning probably about 3,000 calories a day of just activity. And coming to a truck, you kind of bring all of that to a stop,
Mhm.
like a screeching stop. Now, flatbed, it did help. You're still moving, you're still rolling tarps. Those tarps are 125, 150 pounds, especially when they soaking wet or they're frozen. They're even worse.
Yep.
So the activity helped a little bit, but once I switched over to dry van, got into my own company, the dry van side, they call us door swingers, lazy door swingers. I hate the title. And I actually got up to an unhealthy weight of 337 pounds and depression started settling in. I was eating truck stop food consistently. And my wife, she was just like, you got to do something. Like, it took her to really bring it to my attention because she was like, I know you go to the gym on weekends, but you got to do something. So, more recently, I hired a trainer and I've been able to block out my schedule. So, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I make sure I'm home. I go to my trainer. And while I'm out here during the week, I may run for 5 miles. I got like a little band that I could put around like the handlebar that we lift ourselves up into the truck. I'm able to do, pull ups, well, not pull ups, but like back pulls, band pulls. I could
Mhm.
do different shoulder rotations to help sculpt my body and really accelerate the process. And the biggest thing is like diet. So, I have a grill. I have, uh, a George Foreman grill. I have an actual grill. I have a hot plate. So now instead of stopping at these truck stop places for food, I stop at Walmart. I go park in the parking lot. I'll go get some vegetables. I'll steam them. Make sure I watch my sodium levels. If I want snacks, I'm buying them from Walmart for cheap because the truck stops, I don't know what they do, but they charge extra. Um,
Yep.
and you just make sure you watch what you're consuming. It doesn't have to be chicken. Chicken will make you feel inflamed. So if you want to get seafood, sometimes you may find a farmer's market. Stop by a farmer's market, get a nice fridge, keep it cold.
Mhm.
And you can cook 3 days worth of food, let it last, and then just repeat the process.
For sure, for sure. I definitely had went through my little phase of gaining that trucker weight, losing it. Then I gained it right back, and now I have to get back in the gym and lose a little weight that I did gain. But like you said, flatbed did help out a lot. Throwing those tarps around, rolling them up, folding them up. You know what I'm saying? Having to push them up 8 feet of whatever you got on the lumber or whatever, and then roll it out, climb up the lumber, roll it out, and then bungee it down. I think flatbed is a great start for if you want to kind of get that hands-on feel. A lot of people kind of shy away from it, but I think flatbed is a great start, like I mentioned earlier. Um, but yeah, Pope, uh, I want to wrap it up, and I want you to let the people know where they can find you at. Where can they follow you? Where can they kind of see what you got going on? If you have any, if I don't know if you have a YouTube or if you're posting any music or anything up, but yeah, let people know where they can find you and tune in.
I'm on pretty much every single platform as Polk the Artist. As Polk the Artist is all one word, and you can literally Google me. My art is everywhere. My music is everywhere on all platforms. My YouTube channel, I'm revamping that, but it's still stuff up there. And feel free to reach out via Twitter. That's where I am the most. I typically post my art on Instagram. I respond, but Twitter is where a lot of people can find me. I don't mind answering questions about trucking, music, sports, anything anybody wants to talk about. We're all here to help and build. That's all I'm about. Like, I just want to see people do better.
Hmm.
And if they don't feel like reaching out, I encourage them to reach out to people I may mention or talk to on Twitter and just say, hey, if you feel comfortable with this person, just reach out. Like, at this point, we all need each other. And that's the type of energy that I'm on. Like, I just want to see people like be better than what they used to be.
100%. I think we've achieved that goal. With us being in that trucker group, I think a lot of people have progressed. But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. Polk, thank you very much for coming and let me interview you, man. It's been a pleasure. Everybody, make sure y'all go follow Polk. It's your boy Chris Lee TV. I got my guy Polk here. Deuces.